You know, Bob, I've been asked by borrowers why they need to obtain an appraisal even if the buyer and the seller agree upon a price.
And you know what, Rick? Let's talk about that.
Hello and welcome to this episode of What's Their MO. I'm Rick Masnick.
And I'm Bob Orlando, and today we want to talk about appraisals and why they're required, even if the buyer and the seller have agreed on a price.
Yeah, one of the first reasons is it's the requirement of a lender. Anytime someone's getting financing through a mortgage lender, they're going to require that an appraisal be done. It's to protect all the parties, it's to make sure that the buyer's not overpaying, but also to make sure the lender's not lending more money than the property's actually worth.
Right. And then there's also what they call risk mitigation. And the appraisals help to mitigate the risk for both the buyer and the lender. One, you want to make sure as a buyer that you're not paying too much for the property. And the lender is going to want to make sure that there's no risk involved as far as taking the property for sufficient collateral for the loan.
That's right. And then there's also negotiation leverage, because let's face it, even if the buyer and the seller agree upon a price, if the value comes in lower, well, I think the buyer is going to have a little bit of an interest in trying to renegotiate that price, depending on how much lower it does come in. And then it gives them the opportunity to go back and renegotiate the price. And it keeps a lot of folks from having any potential losses.
Yeah, exactly. So also an appraisal may be required for legal or say even tax purposes, such as settlements, an estate settlement, property tax assessments, or even a divorce. So the appraisal will ensure that the value of the current property is going to be, the value that needs to be, to help settle the whatever situation you may be in.
Yeah. And an appraisal creates an unbiased and independent assessment of the property's value. It takes into account factors such as market conditions, comparable sales, which is other homes that have sold in the recent time period in the immediate area, and what the comparable meaning same size, same style, and the property's condition. All of that is to determine its actual worth.
Right. So as you can see, when the buyer and the seller, even though they've agreed on a price, there's still many factors and many reasons why an appraisal would be required for any real estate transaction.
Exactly. So if you found this information useful and helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you know someone else that this information could benefit, please pass this video on to them. But for now, that concludes this episode of What's Their MO. I'm Rick Masnick.
And I'm Bob Orlando, and we'll see you next time.